Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. After months of talking back and forth and trying to figure out schedules and times, we got Mondo Duplantis on the podcast. And we now have a long form conversation with the highest pole vaulter of all time, the reigning world record holder, the reigning Olympic gold medalist. And it's crazy to see how far he's coming. He's only 21 years old. He's going to be 22. I think he said in like a month or something like that. But I remember seeing this young man at Reno a long time ago and being like, how is he going to keep this up? And I think a lot of people have thought to themselves, how is Mondo going to just keep getting better and better? But he does it. He shut all those people up really badly. He really proved a lot of people wrong. The people that would say he's too young, he can't keep this up, he can't keep this up. Dude's keeping it up. And I think he's going to be keeping it up for a while. Because if you ever seen him jump over those world records, he is got a little room to spare. He's putting heat on the world record. He's not banging over the world record, which is pretty crazy. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. This was incredible opportunity. Very grateful. Thank you, Mondo, for being so gracious with your time and giving the people a long form conversation with the world's greatest pole vaulter. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the One More Jump podcast with Mondo Duplantis. So it's all gravy, man. So I guess we get into it, and I'm going to get into it with this story from back in the day. This is probably like 2014 Reno Pole Vault Summit, right? Mm-hmm. I was an elite vaulter at the Reno Pole Vault Summit. Yeah. And I was given a group of kids to talk to. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to the kids. This young man raises his hand and's like, hey, who's your favorite pole vaulter? I was like, oh, Brad Walker, Jeff Hartwig, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I like some of the old dudes though. Joe Dial, Greg Duplantis, and he was like, that's my dad. And I was like, no freaking way. I was like, you're Mondo. So I was going to see if you remembered that.
That sounds really familiar. I remember being kind of vocal and wanted to get my questions and points across in those meeting with the stars, whatever they called it. Yeah. Right. I remember really enjoying those though. Those were, that sounds very much like me.
Dude, you can just say you don't remember, man. It's all right.
I don't really remember, but I believe it. And that makes, that makes total sense.
You believe that I wasn't making it up.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So the story is somewhat validated, but we probably could go on record as saying that I have nothing to do with your ability to break the world record and win a gold medal.
I think I remember you actually giving me really great advice during that group chat that I used today in my jumping.
Dang, dude. I do what I can for the community and, all of these things. Yeah. So yeah, man. So it's really cool. Obviously you were just a young kid back then. You were killing it back then for sure, but it's just really wild. I remember just being like, this dude has like a supreme confidence in what he's doing. Like even the way you were talking and the way you were like walking and presenting yourself, I was just like, this dude has got some confidence, man. And then like the next day, I mean, you jumped astronomically high for maybe you were like a sophomore or whatever in high school. And it's just so crazy to see where you've come, since then. So how's it been, man? Like how has the ride been? It's been insane.
It has been. It's hard to, I don't know where to start really, because I feel like so much has happened over the past, especially the past 2 years specifically. It's been quite a lot, quite a lot of stuff going on. And I feel like it's a lot of stuff that doesn't really, not always center around pole vaulting too, in particular. So, when I get to do things like this, I really enjoy it because, it takes me back to those, Reno Pole Vault Summit days, which is, those kind of events and those meets where I think were really instrumental for my development to get to the point to where I am today. Because they, I learned so much from other vaulters and learned so much about myself at those kind of meets. Because, when I was a kid, I didn't have that many meets to compete in. When I was whenever I started, like 6 years old,
right.
Like 6 years old to basically high school, there was really not that many meets in the United States for me to go around other than the National Pole Vault Summit. But I don't know. It's been good. I feel like I shouldn't complain too much. I'm jumping. I feel really good jumping right now. A lot of other stuff in my life is better and bigger than I could have ever imagined it. So, really, I like where I'm at right now. I just, I try to just go out there and jump high, and I feel like everything else kind of works itself out, which it's been doing, and even more than I could have imagined. But, for me, I still just try to focus on getting back to what really matters. And that's just me in that bar.
Yeah. And so like, I think the biggest thing with you is just like, you're popping off and it's just like, dude, you're so young. Like, how old are you now? Like 21?
21. I turned 22 next month.
Yeah. I mean, that's freaking young, dude. Like you got,
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't know, like young. I feel like I'm getting older though.
You have to. I think in your situation, you just like like whenever I talk to you, I'm thinking I'm talking to somebody who's, aged and experienced, but you are aged and experienced in the event.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true. That is true. But I feel like it also is one of those, like, I don't want to compare myself to Justin Bieber, but like, it's one of those things where like a lot of the people, especially like in the pole vault community specifically, to where like I was jumping high at a fairly young age, like 17 or so. When when I was 17 and my junior high school, I was jumping at all the Diamond League meets that I wanted to jump at, basically. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, dang, he's like 22 already. It was like those like 5 years, they go so fast though. So right. Like, I am still young in theory, and like I still feel like I have a lot of years left, of course, but like the time does go really quick. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just really crazy that you've been doing it since you were in high school, and you've been jumping so incredibly high since you were in high school. It's pretty wild. So what other things you're talking about, how other things in your life are going really well. So obviously the vaulting is going well. I don't know if do you ever reach a point where you're satisfied in the pole vault? Is that possible? I don't know. No, I mean, I want to be the best to ever live. And I've had that goal ever since I was very, very, very young, because I always felt like it was very achievable. And I always felt like I had the potential to leave that kind of mark on the event. And, when you look at somebody like Renaud, and I think in this situation, a little more specifically, Bubka, and the things that he did in this event, especially at the time he did it, he has a lot more stuff to his resume than I have at this point. I mean, I feel like I have a little bit of time, of course, to be able to match some of the things he's done. But he's won 6 world championships. I haven't won any at this point. He did win one Olympic, so I was able to match that. But I'm not going to be able to match how many world records he broke, because when he basically had them all from 590 to 615 or whatever. So do you know the number on that? It's like 30 something, 32. Dude. But also, I guess for him, they changed the rule to where they merged the world records, indoor and outdoor. No, tell me about it. Well, in like I don't know, 2010s ish, right before, maybe a few years before Renaud broke the world record. Mm-hmm. They only for pole vault though. It's the only event that they do this in track and field. Is that there's only one world record in pole vault. It's just the overall. It's it's the overall world record. So like I officially, the only world record is my 618. The 615 that I jumped outdoors, that was almost for shits and giggles, just to say that I jumped higher than Bubka outdoors as well. It was like the unofficial. I mean, it's the world record if we're just talking and, over beer, but not according to like the World Athletics. It's not ratified as a world record. There's only one record, and that's just who's jumped the highest in either outdoor indoor. You can do it in both, but whatever one's the highest of the two.
That's very strange. I never knew that. That is very, very strange. Yes. So you're saying that his 35, it's like, okay, well, he had the opportunity to have this many indoor, this many outdoor.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he went 6 meters and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way up to 14 indoors or 15 indoors. And then the same thing, all the way up to 15 indoors, 14 outdoors. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't have the opportunity to do that, but that doesn't really matter that much to me.
No, I don't think that's.
I just want to do something similar that push the barrier to something that's really hard to achieve again, like he did. Where it took 20 years.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of. Well, whenever you put like your jumps to his jumps over 20 feet, let's just use feet and inches, over 20 feet, it's like, okay, there's one guy that might be a little higher in the air over that bar than the other. So I mean, I don't know, I mean 35, that's insane, but I mean, dude, you put heat on bars though. Like, it's not like you're rattling these things that much, man. You are putting heat on them. And so, I mean, we could have something pretty special here in the next few years for sure.
No, I think so. And I think that there's room to, I mean, not only improve, of course, I think there's things that I can improve upon, but I think there is room to just jump higher as it is right now. Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, dude, there's sometimes, I think that's the coolest part about watching you pole vault, is there's sometimes if you go on YouTube and you watch your vaults, it's like, dude, it's just like, if the bar the amount of height you put on some of these bars is just like ridiculous. And then it's like, okay, well, we know he's got it in the tank. Then it's just if the bar stays up that day, like it's there,
And I get you. And it just, the thing is like when you start getting to that, like, 619, 620 range, it just becomes one of these things to where you have to have your standards right. And you have to be on the exact right pole. You have to have your grip basically perfect. And right. You gotta hit the run really good to where, like, I can do all these things, but they really do have to line up really well.
Yeah.
For me, I can make a few errors or do something here or there differently to make 6 meters. But when you go 19, 20 centimeters up, it becomes quite a big difference. Even if I do have the height, you got to get every part of your body over it. So.
Right, for sure. So we're kind of going in a little bit of a backwards way, which is totally fine. I've got some notes typed up here of some things that I kind of wanted to talk about. And that was one of them was, like, what is it? What is that thing? What are those things that you're going to have to do to where in your head you are the GOAT? Like, we all, from an outsider's perspective, I'm like, this guy has been highly successful, wildly successful already. Like, but I remember whenever I was jumping, people would be like, dude, you're doing great. This is awesome. You've done so much. And it's like, thank you. I appreciate that. But I don't feel the same at all. So it would be interesting to hear your perspective of, like, you're the world record holder. You're the reigning Olympic gold medalist. You're the Diamond League champion. In your head, like, where is success for you? Are there any numbers? Is it back-to-back Olympic titles? Is it that?
Yeah, Olympics is a really important thing because, it is the biggest meet for us as jumpers, and it is the most important. So for me, like, if you want to be the GOAT and you want to be the best to ever live, you have to be able to do well in the most important meets. I can jump 618, 617 at whatever meets I want to, but if you can't get it done in the biggest moment and the times when it really matters the most, then it kind of tarnishes, I feel like, your reputation a little bit. So for me now, the main and only thing that's on my mind is the World Championships. We have the World Championships coming up next summer, and it's not that it was the biggest deal in the world that I lost the last one, but I feel like I really want and need to win it this upcoming summer, because it's just something that I need to have, because I want to win everything that there is to win in this event, in this sport. So that'll be a good first step to getting to where I want to be.
Right, for sure. Hey, I'm not trying to be rude. Are you like ticking on the keyboard or something like that?
Oh yeah, I guess I was moving this. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I was like, what is that? It's like a mouse crawling around or something.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that like kind of popped into my head. Like, okay, nobody's ever won back-to-back gold medals in the Olympics. Like that's like a huge one. That's hard. That's hard to do.
Sure.
Sure. I don't know from experience, but and then obviously those 6 world championships, like that's a lot of world championships,
yeah, it's a few. Yeah, it's quite a bit.
It's a lot of world championships. But this is the thing for me personally, I think would be the sickest. First attempt, opening bar 6 meters. Could you do it? Just bomb that sucker. First rip. Just first trip down the runway.
What if I just snaked over it? Would it still be cool?
Oh, dude, it would be. Has it ever been done?
No way.
That's what I'm saying. Is like that would be pretty sick too. I don't care if it's at some rinky dink meet, like
it would kind
out of nowhere.
Yeah, I feel like it would have to be something like that.
That's fine.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I've thought about things like that. Like, what would be the envelope? Like, what would I? Because really, I mean, at that point, if you just get warmed up enough, it is kind of a mental thing.
Yeah,
because I get enough of a range on things in warm-ups, and as long as I just mentally am prepared for it, then I think I really could do it.
Right.
You have to find the right situation, but the problem is like a lot of these meets that I go to now, I'm pretty sure a lot of them have clauses in it to where if like there's like half your appearance fee. So that is quite a bit of a rolling the dice.
Right.
Meters, but I'm gonna find I'll find a spot to do it. Cole Walsh also gets on me about $5.99 too, because nobody's ever jumped $5.99 ever.
For real?
Nobody.
Yeah, you might need to get on that too. I mean, dude,
if I pass book up in the most 6 meters, then I'll do $5.99.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty sick. And you just got to make sure somebody's getting the video. We get that thing up on YouTube. All the whole works, because that would be sick. So the thing that pops into my head whenever I was thinking about that is I was like, I don't know what your progression is. Like, are you a guy who starts like really low? Like, because some people would say like, wow, he's starting like really low for somebody who jumps 20 feet 3 inches, like starting at 555, like that's pretty low, So is that your process?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I've had one of the things I've had a little bit trouble on the past year, especially a few years. I mean, I guess it's kind of been a thing for me is that I feel like I turn into a little bit of a different person when the meet is actually on. I mean, I have these warm-ups, and I'm not saying they're not just god-awful warm-ups, but they're just not the same quality as that first run down the runway in the meet. So that, I almost always have to go up at least one pole from my last jump in warm-ups. And then sometimes that's just not even enough.
Wow.
And like Olympics, I went up 2 poles for my last pole in warm-ups, because I just know that when I just know that when I get on the runway on that first attempt, I just go crazy. And I just like feel like, and I don't try to like run too hard or anything, but it just happens naturally that I just get so amped up that I hit it so much. I mean, harder, better, faster, everything really that I. What
happens to your step though? Does your step get jammed under a lot?
Ish, but not that much. Not that much really, because I try to. I mean, I feel like I try to take it a little more controlled in the beginning. Not that it's more controlled, but I just try to push and be cautious of, trying to sprint too fast out of the back. So I just try to take it easy, and I run from 20 steps. So I have a little bit of time to build up the speed. But no, it's not really like that per se. I don't even know if it's necessarily that I'm running so fast, which I probably am. I think it's just I'm more confident. I have better posture. I just hit the takeoff probably more smoothly and a lot better. And then the poles they just roll a lot crazier in the meet. So
what are we talking about poles here? So like opening bar, what's the go-to?
So I usually past year or two, I've been starting around 550, 555, 560, 18 feet, low 18s, 18.2, 18.4-ish, whatever. And I usually start on my 520, 12.9. I mean, yeah, there was some meets in the beginning of the year. I'll start on 520, 13.2. And then like the Olympics and like some of those meets where like things are either I'm super amped up or it's a good place to jump, I'll start on the 12.7. But I don't even always bring the 12.7 in my bag, actually. It just kind of depends. Yeah.
Those are some hogs, man.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you start? Are you like a guy who like, there's some dudes who it's like, I have to grip this high and this is what I grip the whole meet. Are you a raising the grip type?
I work it out. Yeah. I work it out from the first. Yeah. From 50 to 6 meters plus, hopefully on the day. I work it up probably a good 5-7 centimeters. Was that? A few inches, which is big increments when it gets to that point. So
right.
I definitely, because I mean, the thing is when you're starting like I do at a bar that I should make quite consistently at like 550 or 18 feet, I don't need that much grip. I don't need that much grip and I don't need the biggest pull. So I'm going to give myself the best. I'm going to give myself enough room for error to where if I am really under or if I am really out, then I still can move through this pull and I still can make the jump work no matter what happens.
So is it almost like you kind of do it as it's almost like an extended warm up, almost like if you come in that low, you can just like kind of use it as an extended warm up.
It is. It is to kind of see like, how am I feeling like during the meet? Cause I know like during the meet, that's why I usually only take like 2 runs during warm ups.
For real?
Yeah. I do like when I go and like, I do like a pop up ish. I have like a little like 6-step pole that I just do like a jump on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go back to 20 and then I take a run on, I have 1 5-10 pole that I just use just to run and plant on that first run for 20 steps because, I mean, when we're at these meets in Europe, I mean, it is always, not always, but a lot of times, I mean, can be different surfaces, different boxes, different visual when you're running down the runway, which makes it different when you're running. So I have just like a little tiny pole that I can just plant just to see where everything's at. And then I go to a normal size 520. And then from there, I make my judgment on where I start at anything.
Then it's game time. So what's that 6 meter automatic pole? Just 6 meter automatic grip, automatic, if you're getting on this bad boy, you can pop it.
It's been the 520 12.5 has been my pretty good like 6 meter pole. I've done good things. I mean, I had actually both of I jumped to 610, which is I guess like right at 20 feet. Sure. Right at 20 feet. I jumped
610, but
both indoors and outdoors this year. And that was actually both on the 12.5, but I actually got on bigger poles this year, but only jumped, I just jumped like a little bit lower than that. But
yeah,
it's mostly been my 12.5, but I've jumped 6 meters on a pretty big range of poles.
See, and that's why I think I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for you to just pop off the first jump heater. Because you can do it on a variety of poles.
Yeah. I get you. I mean, I think I could do it. I just have to I would just have to get a situation that it was worth the risk. And
your agent's going to be like, dude, do not listen to him.
Yeah, my agent would probably kill me. But and the thing is also, I would have to do it probably at a meet where there wasn't really much people there, because I feel like at this point, when people come to watch me jump, it is nice to come at kind of low because people just want to see me take some jumps. You know, whether I go and like bomb 550 or whatever it is, they want to see me take some jumps. So it is nice to sometimes start a little lower just to kind of, just show people a little bit of a,
might be a little like disrespect. People might think it's like a little disrespectful or something.
A little bit. I just come in, make 6 meters, and then I leave and go, hey, see you guys.
I mean, if you do that, you got to walk off too.
You do. No, I wouldn't take another jump.
Yeah. That's a walk-off home run right there. And then you throw that pole in the bag. You don't even pick up your pole back.
Somebody
just walk out.
Like my cat. Yeah, somebody will pick it up for me.
You don't even put your sweats on. You just walk out.
Yeah, I can picture this.
Man. Yeah, that would, dude, talk about for your new vlog, man. That would be gold. That would be gold, man.
Just do like I go and try to make 6 meters just first time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you go over, you hit the pit, the young boy never broke again starts, and then boom.
Yeah.
And then that's a wrap.
Yeah, I might do that. Yeah.
All right. So the world record tour of 2020 was cut short, man. That was crazy. That was a crazy time in history. That was a crazy time in pole vaulting history, a crazy time in world history.
Yeah.
How was that, man? Because everybody was so stoked about you just going off. I mean, you had that one where you just like bombed over it and you barely nicked it. And then the next time you come back, you break it. And we're like, dude, how high could he jump now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So take us through that.
And 18 was a really good jump too. And that, I mean, it was, I don't know. I don't know how to like look back on it because I mean, it was such a career defining moment for me too, because especially like, I mean, COVID hitting, I mean, not only just for me, I mean, the world, of course it was terrible, but for just me specifically, it was really bad timing, but at the same time, it wasn't that awful because I had already broken the world record twice and I already finished the indoor season. Because I'm trying to think in my head that if the whole thing started a month earlier and I didn't get to do my indoor season and break the world record, maybe I don't break the world record in 2020. Maybe I don't even know what's going to happen because my training got so messed up when I came back home. Right. And they closed LSU where I train here in Louisiana. They wouldn't even let me train on my high school track. So like my training got so messed up when I came back to Louisiana from that, you know, the European circuit and when I broke those records. So like it was really a shame that I wasn't able to compete at the Olympics that year and do the outdoor season like we were supposed to, considering that I was jumping so good. But like at the same time, you kind of got to think like if it was a month earlier, which it was, there was talks about it, like while we were in our indoor season. I remember answering a few questions during the season, like, you ever heard about this coronavirus? I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. But so I'm just really glad that at least I got to do the indoor season because I know I was in really good shape and jumping well. So it was like, I got to do it and then they shut everything down. I was like, okay, at least I got to do it.
That's actually a really good way of looking at it. Because to be honest with you, I never looked at it that way. Yeah. I mean, as a fan and like as a member of the pole vault community, it was just like, I really wanted to see that play out.
Yeah.
But now that you're explaining it that way, that's a very, you know, humble way of saying it and very grateful, you know, way of saying it is that could have never even happened. So that's pretty sweet that happened. So how do you keep it? I actually talked with Brendan Robideau was on Robideau. How do you say his name?
Robideau.
That's what I thought. He was on here for the people who don't know. He's the guy making the Born to Fly film documentary about Mondo. And we were talking about it and I was just like, you guys had to have hit some sort of mental block. Like how did you hit like where it hit a really low time during that time, like mentally or no?
Ish, I guess. I mean, like for me, I did have that kind of mentality that, you know, right when I came back from the indoor season, I went straight back to Louisiana and I live in Baton Rouge, which is like an hour east of Lafayette where I grew up. But usually right when I get into town, I go straight back to Lafayette where my parents live because I got a lot of childhood friends there. Mm-hmm. So I drove straight to Lafayette because we were having Mardi Gras.
I forgot about that.
I actually landed on Fat Tuesday. Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday. So I actually landed on Mardi Gras Day. So I drove straight from New Orleans airport 2.5 hours to Lafayette to go party with my friends.
Right.
And there was still the kind of this looming, like they were talking about Corona, but like nobody really knew what it was. We still had the parades, like huge parades. And like everything, everybody went out and all that because we still didn't know what was going on. Yeah, it was
right. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know. Super bad time. But then
looking back on it.
Yeah. But then like that week is kind of usually after I chop up my indoor and outdoor seasons. So like after the indoor season, like I have my little like week to just kind of do what I want to do before I get back into training, get back into jumping and everything. So, that week or so, I was really just I'm not really like living it to where I was just going like nuts, but I was just hanging with my friends. We just were, you
just broke the world record, man.
Yeah. We're just hanging and I was just enjoying the moment with my buddies and stuff and, going out and, just kind of, being idiots for a little bit. And then that like right after that week was right when they kind of like, it started to become serious and it started to become a thing that COVID was like, it was here and we got to take these precautions for it. And I was supposed to start training again and everything. And then they shut down LSU, shut down.
I didn't know they shut down LSU. Like, so you couldn't like, there wasn't any sort of like backdoor stuff you could have finagled.
Well, LSU, I didn't want to mess with LSU because it was like on pretty strict lockdown. And they actually had some people that were around, not like, I don't know, like COVID police, whatever you want to say, like security, like security kind of people like around there. So I would try to, I tried to go a couple times, but like, it was like really tight security actually. And then, so no, I would just do like, basically just have to sneak onto high school track.
It's a wild sneak onto the high school track. Like usually like high school tracks are kind of
I'm like 2 weeks removed from the world record too.
Isn't that wild? That's crazy. The world record holder is trying to sneak onto his high school track to train.
Yeah. And like,
man,
it is weird. Cause like at the time I remember feeling like kind of guilty about it almost. Cause I remember it was starting to become like, everybody was really scared about, Corona and everything. But then I was like, I mean, I don't know that much about what this virus is particularly, but like I am by myself because nobody is allowed here. And I'm on this track. And like I did hop this bench share, but like there is nobody here. I am doing these 150s like completely alone. So like, I'm not like, I feel like we're endangering that many people doing.
If we're in a situation where somebody's on a track by themselves outside and they're spreading a virus, the whole world's going down, baby.
Yeah, we have no chance of anything. So yeah, exactly. Then I kind of realized I was like, I mean, I'm pretty by myself. So whatever is even going on right now in the world, I feel like this is a pretty all right thing to do.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember just like running and stuff and just being like, hey, like if I would pass somebody, just
it was really
trying to turn my head away from it or whatever. But so you bounced back, man, and you freaking came out. I was curious how that was all going to play out with you, having that super, super high, and then, having that Corona virus type deal. And then you bounce back, come out. It seemed like you had a shaky start in England.
Sure.
Had a really bad weather day.
Okay. So you're thinking about this year. This is 2 different years.
Yeah. So we can go back to 2020 because the rest of that year was that like, because I talked with Chris Nilsson about that and he was, I guess you guys still had a pretty decent season, but wasn't it like weird? Like there wasn't like that many opportunities.
No fans or anything. We still had like a good series of meets, but no fans or anything.
Yeah. Right. But that was strange.
The training facility, I had the training facility for this season.
Got you.
This past season, that was 2020. 2021, I had the training facility. So the outdoor season, me starting off the outdoor season a little bit iffy this year. That was just on me. That was not really.
Didn't you guys have like terrible weather though?
I did have terrible weather, but also I which I don't think it was the main cause. I was jumping really, really good in Louisiana before I went to Europe to kind of start my season.
Mm-hmm.
And right before I went, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get the vaccine in Europe. So I just got the vaccine here, and I didn't have enough time to get both of them. So I just got the Johnson & Johnson, like the one you can just take once.
Right.
And so me and Desiree took it, and we got really sick, actually, for 2 or 3 days. I was like legitimately sick, like really hard to sleep, super bad fever and stuff like that. And then but it just felt like it lingered on for about, not that I was so sick, but I just felt a little weak and sluggish. And I couldn't get back into, so like 2 weeks almost of like not good training. And then that was right before the season started.
Right.
Shoot. And then I did which was good. I mean, the 590 was still good in the first meet, but I had to really work for it. And then in England, it was bad weather, but I still kind of messed it up.
Yeah. So you're just jumping 590 coming off of a sickness. So off of a sickness, are you still jumping on these 520, 12 points?
Yeah. Damn, I did. But I was gripping really low. I was gripping maybe too low, but I was gripping insanely low in those first 2 meets. I was gripping I was almost a foot, not a foot, maybe 8 inches down from those poles though. Really, really low.
Right. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. So we were talking about 2 different things. So you did have the rest of 2020 that was, you had some big bar, you had some good jumps during that time too. But then I guess I'm just talking about how you finished out that year. And then, coming into this year, you were able to put it all together and then have that culmination, man, at the Olympic Games, putting it together and doing that. So what's the pressure like going into something like that? Because it's not a normal pressure that you have. It's not like, hey, you could win.
Yeah.
It's like you should win. That's a different pressure.
It is. It was a lot different than I know. I get what you mean, because I remember when it's so much easier to just look at people and pick them as the favorite, and they're going to win. Of course they're going to win because they're supposed to win. So that's just kind of how it works. But when you're actually in the spot where you're the big favorite and everybody's not only looking at you you should win, they're already just counted it out. They're already done. And
right.
it was all these little things that just accumulate to such pressure. Cause of course, it is the Olympic Games, and it's something that I've wanted for so long, just to compete at it and to be able to give myself a chance to win it, because I feel this is an opportunity where I really can, because I'm jumping great. And I feel like I can win whatever meet I'm at. Mm-hmm. So, there was just these little things that added up, because of course you do all these interviews and all you talk about is just Olympics. How is it going to be? Everything like that. And, I just I get these snaps from friends and people like that. And they're sending me betting odds and stuff like that.
Oh,
no. And it's whatever it was something crazy. It was also 15-1 or something. It was really, if you bet on me, you really didn't get much of a payout. So I really appreciate you for rolling the dice, but right. Thanks. But stuff like that, I think the craziest thing was, I get to Sweden, and it's already really crazy in Sweden, because I have basically the entire country looking at me for this competition too. And I knew that I was going to be carrying the weight of Sweden almost in the Olympics. And so in Sweden, pressure is already really high, and I get contact from some of the Red Bull marketing people in Sweden, because Red Bull is one of my biggest sponsors. Mm-hmm. And they sent me this. They wanted to send me an email, and they're going to make, I don't know if you saw, they released in Sweden right now, if you go buy Red Bulls, it's going to be my face on it.
Dude, I know. And there's a spot right here. I need a mono Red Bull can, man.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try to figure that out.
For the background.
Okay.
So that was on the list. Anyway,
okay.
Continue.
Yeah, good. So I'll talk about the Red Bull can then, I guess. And so I had to sign off on the production to get started before the Olympics.
Oh,
and this was So this was going to be in honor of me winning the Olympics. These cans were going to be released, and I hadn't even competed at the Olympics yet. This is a month prior to the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And like they sent me the can, and I'm like, shoot, man, that's really cool. It's a really cool design, and I'm really flattered. It actually said like gold medalist on it too.
No.
On the thing, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I was like, yeah, I get it, because I mean, like it's a huge company, and they need it doesn't take, you don't just like print a can tomorrow and then they could just release it to the whole country. Mm-hmm. They need to get the train moving. But it just was like one of these things where it's like, sucks that you actually have to sign off on something, approval of something that you haven't even done yet. So it's like, shoot, man, I still have to go make like 6 meters. Like, and I knew somebody was going to jump good. Like I still have to go make 6 meters, and all this stuff's like in the process. And like, there was so like those little things were like, yeah, it was more than you could even imagine, really.
So you feel those things, because to be honest with you, man, I mean, just as an outsider looking in, I mean, you look as cool as a cucumber out there. So you do feel those little pressures that us normal folks feel, and things like that.
Yeah, I don't feel it as much when I'm actually on the track. I feel like, I mean, when I'm on, I mean, Olympics was a little different. I feel like it was a pretty tensed up situation. It's pretty locked in. But like the worst part was like the 2 weeks prior to the Olympics. That was the most nerve wracking. That was when I slept the worst. But it was, but like when it's a big meet and I get nervous and stuff like that, I get nervous the night before, the day of, maybe morning, just kind of at breakfast, you kind of just feel it, the jitters and stuff. Like when I get on the track and I feel that, and I clear that first bar, then it's like, okay, it is a lot of pressure on me, and a lot of stuff in the works, and a lot of stuff going on around me, but like it's still pole vault, and it's still what I've been doing for such a long time.
That's where that what I was talking about whenever I met you as a kid. That's what I always called just supreme confidence in what you're doing. And if you're lucky as a human, you'll be able to find one or two things that you can feel that with. And that is an incredible thing to feel. And it's also an incredible thing to watch. It's so entertaining to watch somebody who has just a supreme confidence in what they do. And there are, and it's not every day. I'm not saying that you have this every single day, or I, feel that way about certain things every single day. We have our downtimes, but there will be moments in everyone's lives where it will be like, I'm not going to lose today.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And that's just, I guess they call that, maybe flow state or in the zone or whatever, but it was super cool. I remember seeing you make that 55 bar in prelims, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. We're getting it going. Something's going down.
I tried to, I tried to have my best guns ready for the Olympics, because I knew that like there is a lot of people that have been following me and supporting me to this point, but I knew it's going to be another level of eyes on me at the Olympics. So it's like, for the people that have been watching me, I'm going to show y'all, what I've kind of been doing, and kind of reaffirm what you think of me. And then for the new people watching me, I'm going to show y'all something cool.
Right. 100%. I remember getting on with Brennan to talk about the film on the podcast before the Olympics. And on that podcast, we just kept on saying over and over again, like, like knock on wood, like everything goes well. Like, knock on wood. Yeah. And then I was just watching you jump, and I was just like, please make the freaking bar, please. Like I just really wanted that to happen for you. And appreciate that. And especially, and for him too, with his film, it definitely added another layer to it. So, so what means more to you, the world record or the gold medal? If you're to pick one.
I think it's nice to have both. So you don't actually have to pick, but the gold medal meant more than I actually even thought it was going to mean. especially like the response afterwards, because when I had broken the world record, especially when I went back to Sweden right after the world record, it was like a huge, new wave of popularity that I wasn't used to at all. Like a huge, like a kind of this miniature blow up, you can say. But then when I came back from the Olympics, I knew it was a really big deal. But then at the same time, it was like, since we didn't have the fans there and you couldn't really get that kind of experience, like the actual during it. And then like when you're on the track, you still, you know that you're competing for something very valuable and something that's really meaningful, but like, it is still just like kind of Chris beside me. And it was Tiago and Renault. It was like the exact same people that I've been competing against the past like years.
Right.
So it's hard to kind of picture that this is bigger than what it really is, because it kind of is just a pole vault competition against the guys that I've been jumping against this whole time. And then when I checked my phone, that was one thing that night. And then also, but then after when I got back to Sweden, it was like, oh wow, this is a different level of stuff. So I was like, I don't like Olympic gold is nice. Yeah. So I mean the Olympic, I like medals are nice. Gold medals are nice. I really like them because I mean, of course, like you can't take them away. That is my gold medal. Like Olympic, and that's a really big thing in pole vault, being the Olympic gold medalist. So I'll always be the Olympic gold medalist in 2021, whatever the Tokyo one. And right. That'll always be my gold medal. And if somebody comes along and breaks a world record, so be it. But I'll always have that gold medal. So that's one thing that's special about medals.
So it's the gold medal,
I guess. But it's one of those things to where like they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
But I'll right now, since it's really fresh, I'll take the gold medal.
Different feelings, different different parts of your emotional being. Like the gold medal is going to, like you said, you had to do it on a certain day, and no matter what the variables were, you had to put it together. You had a Red Bull can that was made for you
already
because they knew that they wanted you to win the Olympic, you dealt with a certain level of pressure. Now with the world record, it's like, oh, if I make it, I make it. If I don't,
you can do it any day. You can
it
do
is what it
any
is.
Meet, any whatever it is. You can wait on the best conditions. You can wait on tailwind.
It might be though. What about that first world record? That first world record probably was pretty close to on par with that gold medal.
100%. Yeah, that was nuts. That was nuts. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just, it was like one of these things to where I was so like, once after the first competition, I knew like what I was doing in training. I mean, I didn't know because I never jumped that kind of high. I mean, my PR was 605. So it wasn't quite 617 at the time, but I knew from training that I was doing something a lot different and better than I had been before. So I was like, I'm ready for something really, really special. And me and my dad we talked about it. Like, I can take some shots at the world record. I don't really know like exactly what I have to do to leave it up there, but I have some new sticks. I have some big poles, and I'm going to try to get on them. I'll try to give this thing a shot. And then on that first meet, when I actually gave it a really good shot, I was like, yeah, I can do it. And I can do it next meet. Why not? So then like,
yeah. So are you playing this down? Like, because you put a lot of heat on that one that you didn't leave up there. Like, so what were you jumping during your training to like, you had to have, like you said, you had some idea, but like, are you jumping like 6 meter bars, or are you, in training?
A week before I left to go to Sweden, I jumped 6 meter bar for the first time in training.
In practice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Indoors right before I left to go to Sweden for a little bit for my first meet.
From 20 steps?
It was from 20 steps, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a big training bar. That's a really big training bar. But but still though, the difference between that and what you jumped on that day is still quite a bit of difference. So this is telling me that you are a hype man. Like, you just thrive, and it's like almost a superpower a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Just
It,
the
it feels,
crowd and everything.
yeah, it feels like when it is game time, I do something switches on inside me that it turns different. Everything turns different. My jump is just different, and I got to be prepared for that. And I got to be prepared for whatever I think I know about what poles I should be on, what I should grip. I just got to throw that out the window because this is like a new person that I'm a new like body that I'm in. So I just have to trust that I'm stronger, I'm faster, I have more confidence. I just have to trust whatever's going to happen and just try to do something crazy.
That's wild. Yeah. Cause usually like, with the majority of pole vaulters, I would say once the bar goes up, it's like everything kind of falls apart. It's like, oh my gosh, like this pole's way too big now. And this, that, and the other. Yeah. You're blessed, man. You've got something pretty special there. That not a lot of people have, obviously. That's pretty cool, man.
Thanks.
So we got to talk about this. Though, I am totally super pumped that you are representing Sweden and you chose to do that. But I feel like there are a lot maybe not a lot, but there are haters out there, man. There are haters, and there are haters that don't understand the sport. They don't understand your family, and then they pass judgment on a decision that you made without having any context to it. So maybe you could give us some context onto why is it that you represent Sweden instead of the States?
Yeah, I mean, I figured I would get asked that. I don't really go many interviews without answering this question, but I mean, yeah, people don't really understand the story, and they don't really understand why, and I don't really blame them to a certain extent because it's hard to understand really because people don't really understand United States track and field, don't understand how it is in Europe, how it is in Sweden specifically, but for me as a kid growing up, I grew up in Louisiana. I would I started jumping in my parents' backyard right there just in Lafayette, Louisiana. And it was really hard for me to find meets in the United States. It always was when I was a kid. And I always wanted to jump and I wanted to compete, but I only had 1 or 2 meets a year. Just to have this kind of special 4th of July meet down in New Iberia down the street. They had the pole vault summit in January. And I never had like a series of meets when I was 6 to, 14 years old until I started high school. And so in the summers, I would go to Sweden. I would compete for my mother's old club called Ikastol. It's a small little town in Sweden, Avesta. And I would do a few series of meets there, maybe the summers when I was like 8, 10, and 12, something like that. So I would go jump there. And that's kind of when I first got my first taste of course, being in the Swedish culture and, devoting myself to my, my mother's heritage, but also just kind of getting a feeling of how the culture was just different in Sweden, especially a lot more accessible track and field. So my brother, he kind of had that same feeling. He had the same problem when he was younger. So then my oldest brother, Andreas, he decided to compete for Sweden. And his decision, I think was honestly, it was a little bit different than mine because he was a jumper that he would have probably he could have made the U.S. team in whatever the meet was, the junior, world championship stuff, but it would have been tough. He would have had to have a really good day at the trials. And, the trials are what the trials are. They're really tough and it's cutthroat, but he decided to compete for Sweden and he went that path. He really loved it, enjoyed it. And I mean, that was a big influence on me being comfortable with doing that decision as well. But when I finally made the decision in 2015, when I was a freshman in high school, at this point I was already starting to jump, high. I was 15 years old. I was jumping 530 or something at 15 years old. So I felt like I had big dreams. I felt like I had a good future ahead of me. And if you know anything about track and field and, especially being a professional in this fin, is that there's no competitions that you can make a career out of this in the United States.
Right.
I mean, they have the Eugene Diamond League meet, and that is basically it. That is the only competition there's to do. And so I wanted to be the best pole vaulter in the world. I want to be the best pole vaulter to ever live. And I wanted to go the path that was going to give me the best chance to be able to fulfill those dreams. And so, choosing to compete for Sweden and choosing the motherland was the decision that I think helped me a lot. And especially now that I live in Sweden during the seasons, to be able to give me the opportunity to compete at the highest level in this event. And right. I can compete at all the meets in Europe with no problem. Travel is super easy because I just go there back and forth from Sweden, which is, just a few hour plane ride. And so it just didn't seem reasonable to be in the United States. And also the culture in Sweden, it felt like I was very supported even from the very beginning. I mean, it was one of these things where like a month before the World Under 18 Championships, I still didn't even know what I was going to do. I understood why I would compete for Sweden, and I kind of had these like pros and cons lists on why I would compete for the United States, why I would compete for Sweden, because I really could. At this point I could have saw myself competing for both. I was willing to go do the trials of the US. I wasn't scared of the trials or anything, but I did understand that, for Sweden, it would be easy. They would take care of me really well. I would be able to, being a professional would be very easy there. I'd be able to make a career out of it. But at this time I was getting called very heavily and my parents were too, by the Swedish like national team coach, why I should compete for Sweden. We would make everything really, really easy on you. And we'd, make sure that you have, beautiful career. And so at that point, I kind of just, it was one of the things I kind of just like made the decision just based off my gut feeling, based off like, I think this would be good. I think this is the right way to do it. And then I just kind of did it. And it was nothing like, I really do. I love Sweden. I'm on the other side of it, but it was nothing against the United States and against, right. The system that they have there. It was just one of these things where I had the opportunity to make a decision and I did. That's the long term.
No, dude. And to be honest with you, man, you don't have to explain anything to me. I totally get it. Anybody who's ever pole vaulted at an elite level or an emerging elite level, or somebody who's come out of college and been like, hey man, I'm jumping like 35 to 55 and I'd like to give this a stab, and try to figure this out. Anyone who's done that understands that you can't do that here. You can't do it. You can't even go and pole vault. I mean, now we're starting to get to the point where we can do that because we have gyms and clubs and things like that can help support these kids. But like you said, dude, you're 7, 8, 9 years old and you're like, dude, I would love to pole vault, but there is no place for me to do this. And then, you get older and then you realize like, oh, like if you win an Olympic gold medal in the United States, like, I mean, the bonus is not very much money, and you have to think about your family and you have to think about your future. And like one day you're going to have, a wife and you maybe want to have kids and things like that. And it's like, dude, it's just like you going out and you interviewing with a bunch of different businesses. And it's like, this business seems like a great fit, and they, are going to support me and this, that, and the other. So you don't have anything to explain to me. Yeah. It's just basically the people who don't understand anything about the sport of track and field and pole vaulting in the United States. But yeah, I think it's a really, really cool thing. And then, so your mom and your dad are both your trainers, or do you have any other people like outside of them?
Yeah, my mom writes the workouts. She gets a little bit of help from different people, like the Swedish Olympic Committee has, like a weightlifting coach, speed strength coach, and all that stuff that talk with my mom and more like suggestions. on what I should do. I mean, it's not, doesn't really always work, since it's like pole vault is very specific. There's specific things that I feel like I need to do rather than just actually like, brute strength training that the normal person does for sprints or whatever it may be. But it's mainly my mom that does the program, and then my dad does the technical pole vaulting. So he comes once or twice a week, whatever, however many times I jump.
That's awesome. And you grew up in a extremely athletic family too. Tell us about some of your other siblings, because you've got, I mean, like not even your siblings, your whole family, your mom, your dad. You have 2 brothers and a sister. Is that right?
Yeah, two older brothers, 1 younger sister.
Yeah. For the people who don't know, tell us about the other people in your family and the genes that you come from.
Yeah. I mean, so my father, Greg, he was a pole vaulter. He jumped 19 feet, 580, whatever you want to say. And so he's a very, very legitimate pole vaulter, especially considering that he was very much on the shorter side, like 5'6" or like 165, whatever you want to say with that too. So he was one of the very, very short guy out there to be jumping as high as he was. So he was super, super fast, super, super fast, super strong. And I mean, he had to be able to compensate for his lack of height.
Right.
And then he met my mother at LSU on the track team. She was a heptathlete, and she wasn't, and I think speed wasn't her crazy thing. She wasn't the strongest. I mean, of course, if you compare it to to normal people, she's very strong, very fast. But as far as track and field, elite world, that's why heptathlon is really, because she's just really good at everything. She just really coordinated, really sporty, can pick up on things really quickly, which I think was really good for us growing up, and just being able to play a lot of sports, because she just really, really coordinated and really good at whatever she does. And so I got 2 older brothers, Andreas and Antoine. 3 years older than me, Antoine, and then Andreas 6 years older than me. And growing up, with the pole vault pit in our backyard and all that, Andreas was kind of the front runner. He was kind of the leader of the pack, and so he would go out there and jump. And when I was, it was great for me, because I always felt like, even from the very beginning, that visualization was the most important thing for me. I like to watch people do things, and I like to go try to do it myself. I wasn't big on somebody trying to tell me what to do if I couldn't get a picture of it. And just that never really worked in my mind. So I like to see what I wanted to do. And so my oldest brother, Andreas, it was so great for me growing up and developing, especially as a pole vaulter, because he would go out there and jump, and he was bending the pole and doing all these things that I wanted to be doing when I was just 6 or 7 years old. So he was like the model and the mold for me of what I wanted to be growing up. And Tawani, the middle brother, he pole vaulted too, but he was more of a baseball player. He would actually more pole vault with me just for good competition, because he was stronger than me, faster than me, taller than me, but I was better technically than him. So we jumped very, very similar heights, actually. So we'd have good competitions out there, but he wasn't really much of a pole vaulter. He never liked it. So he played baseball. He got drafted by the Mets a few years ago. So he plays in the minor league system with the Mets. Dang. So he's quite an athlete.
Got some athletic ability.
Yeah, he's all right too. But so my brother was my oldest brother, Andreas. He was kind of the model for me getting into jumping, trying to be like him jumping. And he was the guy I got to just look up to and try to emulate when I was just a little kid, because you don't get that much of an opportunity. I think a lot of kids, like, I mean, when I was 7 years old, I remember there was a point when I was 6 years old jumping that I wasn't bending the pole, and my older brother Andreas has been in the pole, and I'm asking my dad, why am I not bending the pole? Why can he bend the pole? Because I've been jumping at that point for actually a few years. So I want to bend the pole. And that was the only thing. I don't remember that much about all the jumping. I remember that though. Remember, he's been in the pole, I'm not. That makes me mad. So we got these poles made by Steve Chappell in UCS. There's some really really flimsy light poles, because I was just a tiny little kid, to where that I can start kind of bending the pole and trying to jump like the people that I was seeing and my brother and just on the internet.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was huge for my development. And then my sister comes along and she basically does the same thing and that I'm doing my shit, but just in sense of looking at us all do our thing. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's incredible. I mean, you come from really good stock. I actually have so that all the way back to the beginning of the podcast with that, the circle of advice that really spurred you to become who you are today, by me. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. It's true.
So I used to watch a video. It was a handheld video. I'm pretty sure it was in Stockholm. And we got it from a guy that we know. And it was a competition. And I'm pretty sure it was do you know where your dad jumped 5'9" or 5'80"?
Jumped 5'80". We don't have video of his actual 5'80" jump, but he jumped 5'80" and I think Norway.
Okay, I gotta watch it.
I don't think you've seen videos of his 5'80" jump because I haven't.
I think, yeah, this is a private, like some dude had a video camera, like some random dude like that was jumping in the competition. So anyway, it's a VHS. I got to try to find it. And I'm pretty sure it was in Stockholm. He might've jumped 70 that day.
Okay. Well, Stockholm, he won the Stockholm. It was at that time, it was called it wasn't Diamond League, but it was like the Diamond League meet at that time.
He flipped. He like freaked out.
Yes, it was 570 at Stockholm, and he does like this and jumps off the pit. Yeah, because well, the thing for him was, which was huge deal because he was jumping against. I think he was jumping against like Italian. He was jumping against like all those great jumpers, and my mom was there. Her parents were there. My mom's friends were there. So like that was kind of him showing like.
And it's in Sweden.
Yeah, it was in Sweden where his wife is Swedish. So like. He kind of shows it by that. So like that was a huge win for him.
Yeah, it's so funny though, because I remember I used to watch that all the time. I used to watch that video because he just ran in there so freaking hard and just hammered that thing and just made it, gets off and just jumps like 17 feet in the air off the pit. And it was just cool because I used to watch that as a kid, and then now I watch you and how just that energy. After you make a big bar, it can't be contained. It just can't stop. It's just in you and it just has to be let out. And I just found that very, very interesting comparing those two things together. But, yeah. So I'm curious. This is random. Whenever I went, so like every pole vaulter, whenever I was growing up, every pole vaulter's dream was to, everybody in my house, my dad was like, if you could ever pole vault high enough to go to Europe, that's the move. Like if you could just pole vault high enough to go and jump in any European meets. Yeah. So I pole vaulted high. I mean, whenever I came up, it was during a huge dip in American pole vaulting. Like, no offense to anybody who was a part of that, but do you remember that? I mean, dude, you could have probably whipped a bunch of people in the elite competition and you were in like sophomore in high school. So anyway,
I won the elite competition as a junior.
Well, there you go. That might've been the same year.
But no, it wasn't the same year, but
yeah, I think you were a sophomore. I think you were either a sophomore or a freshman.
I remember like 2000, maybe 12, but like 13, 14, 15, 16 at Reno, there was a
dude, it was rough, man. But luckily a guy like me who jumped 55, hey, you get into some cool stuff, like I was like, this is a perfect timing for me, man. Yeah. And so anyway, so I got invited to go over to Finland to jump in some meets over in Finland, which was really, really exciting for me. And I went over there and got the whole European experience. My poles got lost, just everything. It was great. But the craziest part of that was they dropped me off in my accommodations, and my accommodations was a Finnish nursing home. And I had to sleep in a nursing home with like these weird like beds and like just next to a bunch of old Finnish people. No offense to them. But I was curious if you ever have any stories like of just like crazy weird accommodations or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like like it would have to be my first few years jumping in Europe would probably be a little more crazy. But they got this meet. It's not that it's that crazy, but they have this meet in Germany, Jochgrim, Germany.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to go to that.
They meet really cool meet. Really cool meet. And you stay at this place, but it's not that it's weird in a bad way. It's just a really strange kind of like spooky little like hotel villa kind of thing. And like we're all like you have like your own separate house kind of thing, but you do have your own room, but it's like different buildings, and it's just all like it's a super empty town other than when the meet happens. And like so it's all literally just the pole vaulters just chilling there, and we eat there, and they make us like food and stuff. But it is super cool, but it's super strange. I just have to show you like a snap or something, because I remember like there being like these like not skeletons, but like stuff like that, like mannequins.
Some weird stuff
on my door. Yeah. But I'm think of like the strangest place I've went, because I feel like I haven't went to that much of like those kind of really crazy like funny meets in those weird places, because like when I was a sophomore in high school, I jumped 550, just right at 18 feet. And then my junior, that's when I jumped 590. So and then right after that, then I went from like no year meets to then I could just get into the Diamond League meets.
So you bypassed the nursing home stays and like stuff like that. Dude, you're missing out. You shouldn't have done that, man. You should have just did it like a normal person, and then you would have had a lot of weird.
Oh, but I still have my fair share of like roommates and stuff like that. And I still had roommates and stuff like that when I first started.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And like when I was a junior in high school, it was my first Diamond League competition. It was Eugene Prefontaine Classic. And at this time, whenever I would go to all my competitions, it would just be me and my dad. We'd run together.
Yeah.
It was just like me and my dad. It's like I already knew what I was getting into. It was just me and my dad. We just.
How old are you again at this time?
17.
17. Okay.
And so I go and we go to check in at the hotel, and my dad says to him, and it was not my room. And I was like, oh shoot, okay. And I asked him, I was like, who am I room with? And like Kostas Philippides, the Greek.
Yeah.
Greek
guy?
The
Greek guy. Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just me being like a young teenager or whatever, but I was just like, dang, like that was just like, it was just not scary to me in the way that I thought he was going to beat me up physically, but I was just like, I just hadn't roomed with anybody yet.
Yeah.
And I haven't like, especially not a dude that's, 30 years old, pole vaulter that jumps, a good jumper too. And we're like going to compete against each other like the next day in like this big competition that's super important to me. And I was like, this is just super, super weird. And so like, I remember just like waiting for him to come to the door. And then when he finally came in, I was like, so looking up stuff about him, watching his jump, stuff like that. Like, what do I need to know? What do I need to know about Kostas before he walks on tour? And then when he walks, like the coolest dude ever. And we just catch the biggest vibes ever. So it ended up being completely fine. And honestly, I never had that many bad experience with roommates, but still that was
awkward. I remember having a couple experiences, and yeah, it's awkward because you never know, because you could be on two different pages. Like sure, it's like rooming with somebody in college. Like you could have like, your bookworm with your party animal, and then you have an issue there. And
yeah,
there was one time I was at Reno and I was trying to sleep, before the competition, and some other person was not. And they came in at like 3 a.m, like the night before the elite competition. And I'm like, dude,
standard Reno stuff.
Like, what the heck, man?
Yeah. Yeah. But
this is my only chance. I want to do well.
I feel like I've been pretty good on like, I haven't had like bad roommates. The only thing like actually in Jochgrim, one of the years, 2018, I think it was. Yeah. I think I was like around 18. I got food poisoning and I was stoned the whole night. So poor Charlie Myers, he was there. So that was, I guess I was the bad roommate in this instance. But
that stinks, man.
Yeah.
No pun intended on that. Yeah. But that is not, that sucks, man. All right. So you got to pick three meets that you outside of the world championships and the Olympics, 3 meets that you have to go to for the rest of your career. You can't go to any more.
First is Stockholm.
Homeland.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. I have to do that. And if you ever have the opportunity to come to a diamond meet, you should come to Stockholm.
I will. I was thinking about that today. I was like, dude, I got to get over there and see one of those.
It's but I think that one's super cool. I mean, like selfishly, I'm just talking about myself here, but that one's really cool because they show me a lot of love at Stockholm.
I'm sure they do.
So it's a really cool one. Stockholm. Number 2 would be probably Berlin. It was the first place I jumped 6 meters, and I only jumped there. I jumped there 2 years later, but it was like during the day, and we got a super bad wind that day, which was super bummer because it's one of my favorite places to jump. I love the track. I love the box. I just love the way it's set up, and I feel really good jumping there. So I want to jump there at night one more time because I think I could do something. I think I could jump really high there. So it's
why at night?
Less wind.
Okay. Hey, yeah. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, usually those night meets we get. Yeah, like I feel like when we have those meets during the day, the wind kicks a little harder, and so
I feel like I should have known that hack. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so I want to Berlin is because it's a great place, and it's kind of spooky because it's actually still it's new indoors, but like outside it is like the actual Hitler Olympic Stadium.
Right. So that's wild.
It's kind of spooky, but cool, and like a messed up rich history. It's like a lot of history in these buildings. Like, wow, that's really nuts. But it's a really nice place to jump too, so it's kind of cool.
Right. Then, what about Paris? That one always looked cool to me.
Paris is really nice. Yeah, I like Paris because it's one of those few ones that were set up right alongside the stands, rather than just being across the end zone. And when you're right across this, when you're alongside the stands, it's just they're a lot closer to you.
Yeah.
And I need to get back to Reno too.
That's what I'm talking about.
When I jump, like now that I jump, I jump higher. So like
they're going to have to extend that runway, man.
Yeah, true. And
I got to get a couple extra boards on that bad boy.
Maybe widen it a little bit too. It's like super thin too. I've never had a problem jumping on it actually. Like I remember sometimes like if you catch on like a funny runway, it's insanely thin sometimes.
You get walking the tightrope down that runway.
It almost feels like it. But yeah, I've had such good memories at Reno.
What about this year?
I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works on the schedule. I think I got to get to Sweden before
right. Yeah.
Because I'm actually
and that's January 22nd, I think this year.
No, I think it's 16th and 17th.
17th.
Yeah. But I gotta get to Sweden and move into an apartment, like that kind of those.
Oh, snap. What's going on with that? You got your own place now over there?
Yeah. Bought a place in Stockholm, like in the city. Yeah.
Dang, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty tight. That is a good feeling, having your own spot and stuff like that. I remember when we got our own place. That's a good place to be for sure. So I got some favorites for you. Okay. Favorite approach length outside of 20. Do you do any other approach lengths?
Yeah. I like it's kind of just like depends on when you're asking me this. But right now, I haven't done it, but like last year at least, because since I haven't been training enough like this off season yet. But I've been liking 16 steps a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because I can get on my 520 poles in practice from 16 steps, and it's I can take a lot of jumps from 16 because it just seems like those last like those 4 steps, those extra 4 steps, 20 is just like a lot to handle. And it's a lot to be able to like still be like to control that speed, especially in practice. Yeah. It's super hard. And so 16 is nice because I can kind of replicate like actual jumps to where like I'm still bringing a lot of speed into the takeoff. I'm starting to grip legitimate heights on legitimate poles to where it's starting to like, I'm starting to replicate and get the timing of like some real jumps, but it feels fairly easy to do. It feels like I can rep out a lot of them.
So like a lot of people would be like, whoa, that's a really like long approach to rep out a lot of reps. But when you're used to running 20, it's like a short run.
Yeah. 16 short run. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, so how many jumps are you taking like in a workout? You're one of those high reppers.
But it really just depends. It really just depends. It depends on what time of the year it is too. I mean, like there's just no saying. It depends on what I want out of the practice too.
Yeah.
I mean, and that just differs at every day. It depends on if I'm jumping from 8 steps or 12 steps or 16 steps, 20 steps. 20 steps, I won't take that many jumps. But if it's 16 steps and I'm trying to figure out some poles, trying to get on some big poles, push some grips, then maybe I'll take 15, 20 jumps. But
right. Where is that from? Is that from just carryover from when you were a kid, just taking a million jumps in your backyard? Because like for me, whenever I was jumping, it would be like, okay, like we push past 10 and we're getting into the danger zone. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's like a not weird, but just like common thing between you and Renault, and maybe not Renault anymore, and Sam. You guys take a crap ton of jumps.
Yeah. I mean, it's important. I mean, you have to jumping is so important because you got to know. I mean, being fast and being strong is it's a great added bonus, but like the technique and the timing of jumping. I mean, there's no other way to be able to figure that out other than actually jumping and jumping in practice. And so, you can get as strong as you want, you can get as fast as you want, but if you don't jump and you don't have the right feeling when you have that pole in your hands, then it just doesn't do you any good. I don't. But I mean, for me, that's why I'm saying it just depends. Like if I don't like the feeling of the way I'm jumping, then yeah, maybe it gets one of these days where I jump 35 times, 40 times. It might not be 16 steps, it might be 12 steps. But yeah, I just keep going because I look for this particular feeling depending on what I want out of the day. But if I have a day where I took my 8th and 9th jump were super good and I felt really good, my 10th jump feels really great, then I'll pack it up, no problem. I don't have to take 30 jumps,
Okay, yeah. So you're not like one of those guys who like mentally is like they could like bury themselves in a workout where it's just like, oh well, that one didn't feel good, and then that one didn't feel good, and then they're 20 jumps in and 30 jumps in. Do you ever find yourself burying yourself at all?
The times that I think I bury myself, or which I've been trying to ease back on it a little bit, but I used to be really bad at this. Is that when there's a pole that's just not quite moving,
yeah,
and I just know that I can move the next jump, and then it doesn't move. Know that the next jump I can move it, and then I'm 5, 6, 7 bailouts later, I just still feel like I could because I just didn't hit that run quite good enough. I just didn't hit that good a ticket. Like I just know I can move it, and then my dad just has to watch me just bail out until he just tells me, you got to change something. But I used to do that probably too much, but right. but I think at the same time, I think I took it to an extent to where it probably wasn't good. But when that pole does move, though, you do some good things. You do some good things. But
yeah, for sure.
Because at the end of the day, like you have to be on poles that's going to get you up there. Mm-hmm. I know technique is great, and it's really great to be in this really good position where you're completely vertical, tight with the pole, and this crazy takeoff. I don't drop my trail leg, but for some people, you're driving your trail leg, stuff like that, and it's like those pictures, stills, and stuff look really cool. But if you're not on a pole that can give you something up at the end, at the top of the pole, then it does you no good. So that's for me. Right. That's why I really like to try to push poles in practice.
but all right. So this is another thing that I find intriguing about you and Renault and Sam. And Sam and I talked about it on the podcast, was just like lifting and sprinting. Like whenever I was coming up, and you probably remember this, it was everybody was just going ham in the weight room. Like everyone was trying to move huge weight. I remember hearing about Brad, just hammering big back squats and like, hearing about all these people doing these big things. And so I was like, dude, if I want to be good, I gotta be moving big weight. So you're talking about moving bigger poles. I equate that with being, strong and fast. So how is it that you are able to, from what I hear, you don't lift like super heavy and
I mean, it's different now. I used to not lift at all. Now I lift more.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think my training changes, of course. I mean, I want to develop and but I think I try to get more, I try to get faster I try to lift more to get faster and to get more explosive. Mm-hmm. I mean, like if I'm doing squats, it's probably not deep squats, probably like half squats, and I'm trying to be really fast on the way up. And I like power cleans a lot. I like power cleans. I do power cleans, and I do sometimes clean and jerk, stuff like that in the weight room. And so I always like that, because I always felt like I usually am in a pretty explosive state if I'm power cleaning pretty well.
Yeah.
I like when I'm doing plyometrics well, and if I'm feeling really light and poppy, that's also a very good indicator. But I push the weights and power clean at this point now. I didn't used to, but now I do.
Yeah, I feel like there was a time when, you kind of came out of high school and then you did your stint at LSU, and, you popped over that 580 and then 605. Did you jump 605 the year you were at LSU?
I jumped 605 the summer of my high school.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, my senior year, before I went to LSU.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now. That is okay. All right. Regardless, everyone knows that's ridiculous. That's out of this world. But I feel like then I started hearing rumors like, hey, I think Mondo's lifting now, and I think Mondo's doing some lifting, and then it was like, boom, world record. Mm-hmm. Do you see a correlation between those two things?
Yeah, I did, but it was more. I started training. I started taking training more seriously. It wasn't that I was lifting so much. I wasn't lifting so much more. I was lifting a little bit heavier, and because then I started to, you don't want to go in if you don't know how to power clean, you don't want to start trying to push the weight.
Yeah.
Because the technique and those kind of things are really important, or you're going to hurt yourself. So I got to a point to where I feel comfortable power cleaning and doing some of the exercises, a little bit of squats or clean and jerk and stuff like that. And I feel comfortable enough doing the exercises, and I'm doing it in a way to where I can start progressing in the weights safely. Mm-hmm. And so I started to push it a little bit to see how I was going to feel to get stronger. And I started to feel stronger. I mean, I gained probably a little too much weight my first year of college.
Okay.
But that was for a lot of reasons. I lifted more, or I lifted a little harder. Probably drank too much. I ate too bad, too much fat. Those kind of things. A mixture of a lot of those things. And then in 2020, I was a pro, and so I started taking things a little more seriously. But yeah. I think I did feel good working but I don't do like beach curls and stuff like that. Of course, I do
just functional.
Just functional, and I do. I have a lot of general strength stuff that I do. That involves a lot of like gymnastic stuff,
right.
Ab workouts and stuff like that, and pull-ups and chin-ups, whatever you want to say, and different exercises like that. That I really enjoy, or that I got a lot better at least. And so I don't know. Yeah. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think training did help me get to that extra level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I saw a correlation between those two things. I was just like, oh man, you good? You good?
I'm completely good. I don't know why I have none of my lights on. I was like, I can feel that I'm starting to get kind of dark in here.
Yeah. It's getting. Actually, is it still light down there? I'm in Chicago and I'm pitch black out here.
Yeah, we're getting dark. That's why I was like, this is
100%. So you were talking about your dad, or you possibly burying yourself. You and your dad ever bump heads, like butt heads together at workouts and stuff?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying.
You don't have to get too into it.
No, it's nothing bad. It's just like we both can be hotheads, and we both think that we know everything, and so at given times, of course. I mean, we it's not that we don't try each other. I feel like at this point we're better. Mm-hmm. We're a little more mature. I think it was a little worse in high school. We would fight a little more because I don't know. I just I had not a terrible attitude, but at times if I wasn't jumping well or something didn't go my way, I probably had a pretty bad attitude. He didn't respond to that well. I didn't respond to him not responding to my attitude well. Things like that. Just normal fights like that. But as a whole, I think the way we think about technique and the way we think about how to progress and what I need to do to get better, I think we think very much alike.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, we have fights just like bullshit. You know what I mean? Just for like like that. But like at the same time, like he genuinely is my best friend, and like I talk more with my dad than I do almost anybody in the world, and like we talk not just pole vault, but everything, life in general, and then so I think like we almost have this such best friends relationship that like it's almost is like can be like two like best friends fighting at times, to where it's never like we never go to sleep mad at each other.
That's really awesome. A lot of people would love to have a dad like that. I think that my dad was my coach, and two people that live in the same house that both want the same thing really bad, there's going to be friction every once in a while.
And it was definitely, like I said, like high school, it was definitely worse when we lived in the same house. Then it was a little more like, and not worse in a bad way, just more like it could be a little more tense.
Yeah.
Like dinner or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I remember our house because like I have two brothers who are pole vaulters, and then my dad was our coach, still is Luke's coach. But I just remember I'm sure your household was similar. Just every single day, it was just like everybody. Maybe your household is different, but at my house, it was just every single day, all day. Everyone was talking about what are we going to do for training? What are we going to do for this? And, and you sit down at the breakfast table, start eating cereal. Hey, what are we going to do at the workout today? And, was it, and I think if you do that all the time, I think people just start to get burnt out too. Like people are just like, let's stop talking about pole vaulting.
I get you. And I think that's also like a misconception of like the way I grew up and the way it is right now. Cause like, I started at a really young age and I jumped a lot when I was younger. That is very true. But like, I did have other things that I did. And it wasn't like my dad, he was my coach, and he has always and still does care maybe most of anything about my jumping. And we talk about that a lot, but like we are very good at like being able to balance other things.
That's the most important skill.
Other thing. Yeah. Like when we're at the dinner table and like, if it's just me and him, then maybe we'll talk a lot pole vault and stuff like that. But if it's my other brothers and stuff, like they don't care about what poles I'm on and what I'm trying to do at the next like Diamond League meet and stuff like that. Like not they don't want to know the specifics and stuff like that. Just kind of how I'm doing as a whole and like my life. We don't bother them with that kind of stuff. So like we balance it.
Yeah. And that's, I could see how, because Andreas was, into vaulting, quite a bit. And, but now he's, probably doing his own thing and stuff. So, and then is your sister still jumping? She's
a freshman at LSU.
She's a freshman at LSU. Oh, no way. Yeah, because what'd she jump in high school?
13 in high school.
13. That's a good jump, man. Good for her. So why Puma? Every pole vaulter, it was like you and Renault like changed everything with pole vaulting and pole vaulting spikes and all those things. So why Puma?
I mean, I thought, I mean, other than, I mean, there gets to a certain point to where like you look and you're gonna make the move that's the most beneficial for your career, and you want to go with a brand that's gonna support you the most, and that's gonna that's gonna be able to give you the best opportunity to make a career out of the event, you could say, if you kind of get the way I'm trying to say it. Yeah. And but also, I mean, I liked Puma. I liked the brand, and I liked they really believed in me from the very beginning. Like when I had to talk to them right out of college, they really wanted me, and they wanted me to sign like that. And so they made a great offer, and I was something that I couldn't really refuse. So I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, like I'm not locked onto anything. I don't care about anything. If we can make a good spike and we got some cool uniforms, and that's all I need, really. So yeah, it really wasn't a hard decision, honestly.
Is it possible for people to get your spike?
I think so.
I was just curious about that.
I'm not sure, really. I think, because I like kind of signed with Puma first.
Yeah.
Before everybody, like a lot of the other people signed with Puma.
Right.
And so like when we were in the process of making the spike for me, now we all use the same pole vault spike, the one that like me and Puma designed.
Right. Who is it? It's you, Renault's brother,
Piotr Lisek,
KC,
Ben Broders.
Okay, so there's a good squad, a good little Puma squad out there.
Yeah, it's a nice little squad. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting. That was interesting whenever that came out. It was like, what? Yeah. Like, because, why did Mondo sign with Puma and not Nike? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Better one. Yeah.
I hear that you can impersonate other people's technique. Is that true?
I used to. I mean, that used to be kind of my thing. I mean, yeah, that was like when I was younger, I used to do that a lot. I used to mess around with it. I feel like I haven't done it in kind of a while.
Who was your favorite person to impersonate?
Do you remember Jason Carwick?
No, you used to do that.
Yes, you can look at there's a bit. You know, I mean, Huffman was great, but it was almost too hard. And
there was a few people that could rip Huffman off.
But the problem is like to do a real Huffman, and even Huffman himself wouldn't do like the actual roll unless the bar was high. Mm-hmm. You have to be like actually coming, like it has to be a bar high enough to where you are pretty vertical going over it, to where like when I was younger and I'd be trying to do it over like 11 feet or whatever, it like doesn't work when you're doing it like coming down. Then it just looks like kind of like ghetto and ratchet. Like it doesn't look like real Scott Huffman stuff. So
I gotta get some video of some of these.
Look up like Mondo backyard or something, and there's a video of me like trying to do a Huffman, but I was like 11 or something, 10 years old. But
dude, the Colwick that's a risky move.
It's a hilarious movie. I wouldn't do it now, but
no.
But it is. But I used to really like the way Colwick jumped in some ways.
Take off at like 17.
Yeah, I mean,
fall into it.
I think the takeoff was like really exaggerated, and I think it looked kind of scary and felt like he was
right.
Like his guy, but like he really put a lot of pressure on in the poles, and he really I really liked the way that he would like we say like realign, like like how much pressure he'd put in, like kind of that rowing action that he'd do where he kept a lot of pressure on the poles, and when he would get them, and I felt like he was moving some good poles too. So
he was an incredible pole vaulter. I mean, it was with that sort of technique though, it's either you're going to jump like close to 6 meters, like 19 or 6 meters, or you're going to not do so hot, you know?
Yeah. It was a little inconsistent, of course.
Yeah, but I can see kind of a little bit of something with your stuff. Like like you said, like your drive knee is not super pronounced or anything like that. And
I dropped my knee, or I never even have the knee really in the first place. Yeah.
isn't it so funny how like people are like, oh no, you're not supposed to drive your knee because Mondo doesn't drive his knee. And
I don't know. I don't know what people really. I feel like not that I'm out of touch with what goes on now, but like I feel like I was so in touch with like the pole vault like community and like what goes on, like what people and like how everybody was trying to drive their knee and stuff like that. And like now that like I don't know, things are like I don't know the way things are now. I don't really know what like I wish I did. I wish I could go to more meets and stuff like high school level and stuff like that. But like I don't know what. I don't know if they try to jump like me and stuff like that. I don't know.
You don't need to do, I mean, what you do for the pole vaulting community is you pole vault really high and you provide a lot of really valuable video and just really cool stuff. And like doing something like this is really, really awesome. But what I'm saying is it's just very funny how dude sets the world record and it's like, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, because I'm sure there are things about your vault that you like are like, this is a flaw. Like this is a flaw with my vault that I don't like, that you wish you could fix. Is that true?
And it's not even that I think that there's so many things that are flawed about my jump. It's just, I just don't think it's things that I would teach. And I'm not going to teach.
Right. Yeah. I guess flaw is the bad word. Flaw is a bad word for it.
Yeah. But because it's not like, exactly. So it's more like, I mean, like, have you ever seen the way that I jumped where, like, I slide the pole on the track?
I was going to bring that up, but I didn't know if I should bring it up.
It's fine. It's chill. I mean, it's not like a really like a secret or anything. I mean, if people want to go try it, they can try it. But like, I don't think that it's something that like you have to do or it's something that necessarily you should do. I don't even really know. It's something that I can't really not do it at this point. I do it too much. And it's a habit to where it's at. But like, if I was to start coaching a beginner, it's not like I'm going to start telling them like, you gotta get that plant really early and slide it for the next 3 or 4 feet. I don't know if I would really teach that. I mean,
that's what I'm saying is that somebody is going to come out, mark my words. Somebody is going to come out with a book and that is going to be in it. It's going to be like, you should try to get the thing sliding a little bit before it goes in.
Yeah. But I think that I don't want to spoil too much, but I know that Brennan and the Born to Fly doc, they're working on like, I don't know, maybe 10, like a good bit of the doc is going to be like what I do differently in my jump than other people.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
He interviewed this, like, I don't know, physician in Stanford and stuff like that. There's like a lot of, and there's like some data and stuff like that, like the actual physics and science behind what I do differently than other people. So I think maybe if Born to Fly film blows up, which maybe it could. And I mean, it definitely, the pole vault community people will probably watch it.
Oh, dude, they're going to eat it up.
So man. I think that, I don't know. I really haven't seen it yet, actually. So it's really not that much for me to spoil, but I know that he dives into that pretty hard. So like that might change the way people think, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think there are, I mean, the drop in the drive knee thing, like obviously I think you can put a lot of pressure into the system and energy into the system by doing that. It's just like exactly like you said, you explained it perfectly. It's something that you do. I don't think I think that if it does anything for you, it helps your vault. But it's just something that you might not teach to a beginner.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's, I mean, like you said, and it's like, it is funny. Like people said, I mean, like before Renault, it was everybody, you have to jump like book or the pet shop model. And then when Renault comes along, it's like, wait, maybe we jump like Renault. And then Sam comes along, it's like, wait, maybe we don't have to grip high. And then now it's like, just like, just where it's like, I mean, the only thing it shows is that there's a lot of ways to jump high.
Exactly. And I think that's because you got a guy like Nilsson, who is more of a classical, big, strong ox that just kind of hammers big poles and so he's so I think that's a very, very good point. There are way more than one way to skin a cat, but you and Sam and Renault have exploited that the most, I think, probably in in a really, really long time. You know, basically
we're 3 good examples, I think.
Really great examples of like, wow, these people are vastly different between themselves, but also between everybody else too. So
like different shapes, different sizes, different speed, different strength, completely different techniques, different grips, different.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a cool event. You know, you can do it many different ways. Okay, this is for real. I've got a couple more things, and then we'll pop off of here. We already kind of talked about this. Favorite song for world record type swag. What's going into the headphones?
It changes quite a bit. It changes quite a bit, but I do listen to a lot of rap, a lot of rap. And so when I'm listening to rap, I feel like, I mean, now I listen to a lot of Swedish rap, but I don't listen to that, I feel like, as much before I jump, because I feel like it's not hard enough and they don't talk about enough like gangster stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I want before I jump. I don't know. That's just the kind of mentality that I'm trying to get in. And so it's a lot of those like Louisiana rappers like J.D. Youngin, NBA Youngboy, Fredo Bang, Lil Wayne, Kevin Gates. Those like Louisiana icons. But NBA Youngboy for sure. I got a little list of like NBA Youngboy songs that like I'm always listening to a couple Youngboy songs before I jump.
Yeah, there's no denying that. I mean, I'll be walking around with the headphones on, shopping at Jewel. Feeling like a real gangster.
Love that.
And and it's just all about the vibe, and it's really putting on the right music at the right time, especially as a pole vaulter. It's freaking clutch, man. It's almost, for me, it was like almost like a superpower, kind of like we were talking about earlier.
Oh heck yeah! Like get like really like just so like involved and like just so like you just kind of give up yourself up to the song, and like you feel like you're in like it's like the music video is you right now, Bob.
Right, exactly. That's exactly the feeling. I am in a music video right now.
Yeah, and I love. Yeah, I always love to get hyped up like that.
Heck yeah, man! I'm sure it probably feels a lot different, at a Diamond League final than it does walking around Jewel.
It doesn't. I mean, it does in some ways, but it's still the same old thing, same pole vault, same. Just adrenaline and fired up for what you're about to go do.
Absolutely, man. All right. This is an exercise we do. You have 3 exercises outside of pole vaulting.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Yeah. Outside of pole vaulting. So you can pole vault as much as you want from any approach. Okay. You got to pick 3 exercises. You can only do those exercises for the rest of your career.
Give me 150s.
150s, okay.
Right. Yeah, on. I like 150s. I don't know. I love coming off that bend and like really exploding off that bend. And I just feel like when I come off that curve, when I feel good, at least I feel really fast, and I just love like hitting them really hard.
Right.
And it's a tough workout. And depending on how I do, you do like 5 of those and I'm gassed, especially if I do them fast.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Like, I'm just done. And I like that feeling. So I really like 150s. I really like 150s. As a second. Yeah, number 2 is going to be power cleans.
Okay. I like that one.
Number 3 is going to be golf. Because I know it doesn't help in what and how you're thinking of it as an exercise that directly correlates to pole vault, but I think you need something to get your mind off of pole vault or whatever you're doing. If you're a pole vaulter, if whatever you do in your sport, you need something else. I mean, it doesn't have to take up all your time. It doesn't have to be golf that takes 4 hours, but you need something else to be able to set yourself away from what you're doing sometimes. And I think golf's been the perfect thing for me for that.
Dude, I've asked so many people this question, and you just completely crushed it. That like nobody's even thought about that.
Yeah.
Dude, that was clutch. That for real is probably my favorite answer to that question so far. Something that you can step away from the vault because it can consume you and it can consume all of your thoughts. And, if you let it, and if you get something that's just fun and you can take your mind off of it, that's good. The problem with golf is this, though. The problem with golf is it can be very addicting in itself.
Oh, trust me, I know this. Yeah.
And then you end up like, should I go work out or
hit the range?
Go to the range?
Yeah. Oh, I get what you mean.
Do you ever struggle with that?
Yeah, it's just so time consuming, and it's super tough because having a training, going to competitions, having a girlfriend, or when you are back in town and we are chilling, like it's hard for me to get away and go play golf for like 5 hours now all the time. But when I'm in certain times, I can. But it doesn't even. I watch golf videos. I probably watch golf more than anything else now. Maybe now I watch.
I love watching golf. I love golf. I love watching golf. Some people are like, dude, that's the dumbest thing like, why on earth would you ever watch golf? I love watching golf.
I don't like those people. No, but I get it. Cause I used to be like that too before I played golf. Like it was like, oh, this is so boring, Dad. What are you doing? This is like put on baseball or football or something, but of course, like I said, it doesn't have to be golf. You need other things to be able to get yourself away from whatever's going on, because there is times where, especially and I speak for myself, I speak about my life, to where things get really hectic and there's a lot of things going on, and I have whether it's competitions or the other sides of I'm trying to feel media obligations, or just a lot of stuff is going on in my life, and when I go out there and play golf, or you go, do that other hobby or other thing, I just feel like the only thing that matters is that next shot. And that's a really special thing, because I only find that, or I thought I only had that when I was pole vaulting, because when I'm out on the track, the only thing that matters is that next jump I'm about to take, what's about to happen. But I've kind of found that in golf.
That's
as well,
awesome.
Which is really nice, because if you go and you have a bad practice and you have nothing else to distract yourself from that, you're just going to drive yourself nuts. And then you're just probably going to repeat the same thing over again. So you need something to kind of, freshen up the palate and start a clean sheet.
That's awesome, man. So are you playing like a legit draw, or are you that good?
It really depends. It changes up a lot, but I play a draw with my irons, but I hit mostly fades off the tee with my driver right now. I used to have this flimsy shaft. I got a new, like, really nice extra shift shaft that's nice, that kind of stops my balls from hooking. But I used to have to like kind of play a draw because it was almost like more of a hook when my shaft was flimsy. But now I got this really nice shaft that I can actually like almost take away the right. I'm a lefty, by the way. This is weird, I know, but so I can take away this.
Wow.
Yeah, I swung lefty baseball.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why. But so now I can take away like usually the right side, so I can kind of just play like a little bit of a fade. Sometimes doesn't move that much, but
yeah. That's it's a fun game. Like I said, though, it like you said, time consuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't do golf unless you have time. If you're in school and you pole vault, golf's not the game. It's not. It's not. But something, I don't know, play tennis, play whatever. Do something
to get your mind off of, other things. Yeah. So you've been talking about your girlfriend. So how has that been with everything, like the travel, because she kind of signed up for something a little bit crazy. It sounds like, like with getting on board with you.
Yeah, she did. And I don't think she really understood it when we first started, but she enjoys traveling, so she tries to come to as many meets as she can. I think she enjoys that part of it. So we try to get her to follow with me, and that's another thing for me, kind of similar thing to where, like, when we're in the hotel and stuff, it's great to have her there, because Diamond League Final or something like that, where it's just me and her, and it's more about just being a good boyfriend, and just being there for her and stuff can be more important sometimes than the meet that's tomorrow. That's super huge too. And that's a good that's a good thing to balance too. But no, she I think she enjoys it. I don't think she understood what she was signing up for, but we've had she's had a good time with it. I think she was, the whole Olympics thing was a stressful period.
Oh for sure.
For me, but because like, I guess like there's that week building up to it, I was probably a little more, probably just a little more in my own world.
A little more direct.
Yeah, probably a little more blunt. I was a little less cute maybe for like a week. I was trying my best to be a good boyfriend, but it was just like, my head was just, going crazy at that time. So
that's hard. But I mean, you got to learn how to do that though. Like if you get older in the game and you got to learn how to, okay, so now I got to learn how to, be a good boyfriend. Eventually, you're going to have more and more life things that are going to happen. And it's going to be like, okay, like how are you going to be able to manage all this and still be able to make 6 meters every rip? That's that'll be a good skill. But you guys will share a lot of cool, like how cool is that you guys got to share in that experience though, like Olympic Games, like going through that together, like that's something really, really special and cool, and traveling all over, and looks like a blast. I watched your vlog, by the way. And it looks like it was driving in the private jets and all of these things, the works, man.
That was also one of those things where like, so, for anybody that doesn't know, my girlfriend Desert, she is Swedish, and before she met me, at least she lived in Sweden full time, Swedish, and now she studies, but she's studying online, and she was supposed to come with me back here to Louisiana. However, she couldn't because of the travel ban. So she has to come in like 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. But she didn't want anything. Cause like I train and I just chill, and I'm cool with just chilling. Sometimes I could just sit on the couch and watch football and Netflix, whatever it is, but she doesn't, She can't do that. So she wanted to come up with something to do when she was in Louisiana. Cause she can't work here in Louisiana really. Cause she could find some job, but not like Sweden. So she was like, all right, well, you can vlog. And I was like, yeah, sure. We can vlog. If you want to vlog, let's vlog.
Yeah.
Sure. I think because for me, it's been hard to think that like I never was that big on social media, because I always felt like people, I don't know if people even really want to see what I have to do. But now I'm starting to realize like I think people do like to see what I'm doing. So like that's like I'm like, and there's a lot of people that want me to be more, proactive on social media and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, people will like it. So let's just do it.
Dude, people are going to love it. And that's why I started this podcast, is because whenever I was a kid, I was like, I want to know what all my favorite vaulters are doing. Like, I want to hear them talk, and I want to hear what their pulls are and their grips and like all of these things. It's something really, really cool that you can give to young people that, really care about you and what you're doing. And that's going to be pretty cool to watch that develop. And another thing to kind of keep things chill and keep your mind off of stuff and things like that. So
it's one of those things. But no, I agree with what you're saying also, that, the podcast, it is really good here. Cause when I think, maybe Renault's English wasn't that good, but I wish that when I was younger and I was a young kid, I loved watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I wish I had like a podcast, something like this, that I could hear, the elite jumpers, and I could hear them just going through what they're thinking about, what they do in training, what they think is beneficial to progress in this sport. I wish I had that when I was a kid, that I could hear, whoever it was, Brad Walker, Renault, Piernata, like those kind of guys. So I think it's really cool what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. Last thing before we get off, what do you think has made you into you and what you've done? Like, is there a particular, like a personality trait? Are you I will never quit. I just, am a hard worker, or whatever. What's the thing about you that you think has enabled you to get to where you are today?
I think of course it has to be a combination of a lot of things to be able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished. But I think it most importantly, it's the sport itself in pole vaulting, and like my passion and love for the event. Because if I didn't have the passion and the love that I've had sports since such a young age, then I wouldn't have worked as hard, and I wouldn't have took so many reps. I wouldn't have dove so deep into the history and seen what these other jumpers and stuff like that are doing to try to do everything I can to get better. Because if you don't love what you're doing and you don't love the sport, then it's hard to get to that next level, and it's hard to keep progressing in something if you really can't dedicate yourself to it. And for me, I think that's been probably the main thing, because I mean, I'm not like this guy I'm not just a hard worker in everything I do. It's not just like this personality trait that I do. I'm not like, I mean, I can be very lazy in a lot of ways. You know, I have my dish and I really don't feel like cleaning up my dishes. Don't feel like, making my bed the next morning. I still do it because you feel like you kind of have to. You don't want to be a slob, but like, I'm not just like a crazy hard worker. And I'm kind of athletic. So sports, I've been okay at sports, but it's not like I'm just great at everything I do. And I just touch and I just have this hand of gold. It's just that I found something that I really love and that I'm really passionate about. And I devoted my life to it. And, I had huge dreams for myself and for where I was going to take it, but I didn't know where it was going to go. I just kind of dove all in, and I just, and I went all in on what I was doing and what I loved. And I just kind of let the rest figure it out. So I think that, whatever you're doing, whether it's pole vaulting, which I hope it's pole vaulting, because if you're listening to this, you're probably a pole vaulter. So,
yeah.
With pole vaulting, figure out, what and why you love the sport so much, and really, really dive into that. Really dive into that. If you love to do straight pole jumps, do a bunch of straight pole jumps. If you love to jump from full, do a bunch of full. If you love short, do a bunch of it. But be really good at what you love to do, and really try to take it to that next level, because I think it'll make you better in many ways outside of whatever you're doing, like pole vaulting. So I think for me, I give a lot of my success to just my love for the event.
Wow. That's a really great answer, man. It's another one that I've never heard. It's always like, work hard but you work hard because you love what you do. And then it's not really working. It's just enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it is true. But and there's of course there's things that I don't love. Sometimes I don't like to do weights. Sometimes I don't like to do general strength. And sometimes I don't like running. I like running for the most part. But at the end of the day, it makes me better in pole vaulting. That I love pole vaulting good so much that I can deal with all those other things. But yeah, I mean, if you don't really love what you're doing, then it's really hard to progress. Absolutely, man.
Dude, I am so grateful, like so incredibly grateful for the time today. It was really cool. Like, just, you're not only an incredible pole vaulter, really awesome dude, really knowledgeable, and a very, very good representation of the pole vaulting community. So we appreciate it, man. And is there any place that people can follow you? Maybe shout out that new vlog or...
Yeah, sure. You can follow the vlog. I think is it Desiree Mondo and Desiree, me and my girlfriend's vlog, something like that. Mondo and Desiree. And if you look at like my Instagram or her Instagram, you end up finding it. But no, I don't need to shout out anything too much. Just listen to this podcast and follow this podcast.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you again. This is the One More Jump podcast. Thank you guys so much.